The giant Antonov AN-225 is a cargo plane like no other. Its role? Transporting the heaviest air freight on Earth. In May 2016, it undertook an epic journey, transporting a huge industrial generator from Prague to Perth, Australia. Public interest was so high that a German news crew filmed it every step of the way. Dmytro Antonov is in charge. He's not related to the company founders, but he is one of a select group of pilots qualified to captain the plane.
We are carrying some very heavy cargo. For example, to Australia we are bringing a generator. We have so big cargo and now we'll fly with this cargo. How is possible? But I know it's possible.
This
Antonov is the only plane that can load over 100 tons. The generator weighs 117 tons.
That's the weight of 18 African elephants. And transporting it by air is super expensive. Hiring the AN-225 costs about $30,000 an hour. For that, you get the largest plane in the world. If you were to park it in a soccer stadium, its 290 feet wingspan would reach over both touchlines, and its 275 feet fuselage would stretch from box to box.
It's unique. Only one in the world, and the biggest, still biggest plane in the world.
The first challenge is how to get the generator into the fuselage. Remarkably, the front of the plane is hinged.
The Antonov AN-225 is so cool. Because the nose lifts up, it gives you quite open access to the entire cargo bay, so you can easily load things in.
Precision hydraulics lift the normally sealed nose and open the fuselage like a giant mouth. But it's too far off the ground to load into directly.
It kind of bows down in order to swallow the cargo. It's almost like a big snake that unlatches its jaw and then comes down to the ground to eat its prey.
The leading undercarriage pylons are jointed. And as the fuselage lowers, a ramp unfolds, allowing an 11-strong team to crane the generator into position. The AN-225 has a maximum takeoff weight of 705 tons. With cargo and fuel on board, it's not far off that now, and will be heading down the runway in less than an hour. The 225 wasn't originally a commercial plane. It was designed in the 1980s at the height of the Cold War. The Soviet Union's military had begun a clandestine program to develop a space shuttle to rival America's, and they needed an enormous plane to transport it.
At the time, it was not public at all. It was all top secret. No one knew about it.
The Soviet shuttle, known as the Buran, was far too big to fit inside any existing fuselage. So the USSR invited Ukraine's finest designers and engineers to take up the challenge.
We were all so excited. We had sparkles in our eyes, filled with the desire to put in as much of our knowledge and abilities as possible to find the best solution for this aircraft.
They knew they had to design a plane the likes of which had never been seen before.
I can only say that obviously the most complicated part was to design this wing.
The wings needed to be vast, but where they're positioned is also critical. Civilian planes have wings mounted as low as possible.
They're attached to the bottom of the aeroplane, and you'll see that the wings are slope upwards from what we call the wing root. And the reason for this is dynamic stability and control of the aircraft. And we call that upsloping wing dihedral.
This means that if, for example, a gust of wind pushes the aircraft and it rolls in one way, the aircraft naturally wants to stabilize itself.
In the case of the AN225, another similar military cargo type aircraft, the designers use an anhedral wing shape, which is the wings sloping down from the center of the airplane out to the wingtips.
The reason is that carrying heavy loads negates the need for the extra stability that an upwards dihedral angle would give.
But also the wings look more anhedral than they're going to be in practice when the plane is flying, because the wings are flexible. And when the wings get loaded by generating lift, they actually will rise up a little bit. So the anhedral angle is to kind of balance out the natural deflection you get of the wings under lift, so it kind of evens out to about level.
When the AN225 took its maiden flight in 1988, it was a tense moment.
This is so much bigger than anything that had flown and was flying at the time. The engineers who'd created it must have had some trepidation about whether or not their creation was actually going to get airborne.